welcome to church.
Morning.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the People's Congregation of Shakers and Movers live breathwork podcast known as Rise Up Breathwork with the one and only Matt Thompson and myself, Sandy. And we have a few guests up here with us at Camp CBGB. We have permissioned ourselves to take a few days of rest, but we're also getting a lot of moving and shaking done as we are going to be hosting our Soul Saturday service this weekend, Memorial Day, up here at the camp. So if you want to know more about tapping into our nature services, which we do conduct up here at the founding chapel, I like to call it the first church of the People's Congregation, hit me up through Instagram or send me a text so I can give you directions. I'm not going to announce the address on social media, but if you're interested in joining us for our services, let me know. And just a quick reminder that we will not be hosting our Friday night integrated recovery practices group because most people are going to be shaking and moving up here Thursday night or Friday. So if you want to have some support, just join us up here lakeside. Bring a canoe, bring a tent, a kayak, paddleboard, and if you do not have one, then we can provide one for you as usual. So yeah, Matt, it feels so nice. We just came back from the Maine Fungi Festival at the University of Southern Maine campus this weekend, and it was a vibe. I mean, I learned so much. I met so many interesting people. We had a great workshop at intention setting, which I thought was really nice and fabulous and made me kind of think about what I want for the rest of this year, in my life for that matter, because it's all connected. And so thank you, to all of the other sponsors. Thank you to Jonathan, and thank you to everybody that put their efforts into making it a really special event. A special thanks to Stanley for driving the bus up here, and Kathleen and my daughter and Matt for holding down the booth for me so that I could be free to explore and, network and meet people, as that's what I felt like I needed to be doing. And so, Matt, I am struggling with these allergies because we are in the Waterboro Barrens, which is a 2,400 acre nature preserve that is full of pine trees. So these pine trees have these little cones on top that produce this yellow nectar, pollen, whatever it is. But come this weekend, it's going to be blown in the wind like sheets of, I don't even know. It's not good, but you can hear it in my voice. So I'm struggling with allergies. So I'm hoping today the breath work will help with that. Matt has also been so kind to bring his gong up with us today and the singing bowl. So please pop in the chat if it's coming through a little bit too loud or staticky, but I think we'll, do it gently. So it should hopefully, present well to everybody out there. So thank you again for everybody out there and for your support. And if you care to learn more about our church, you could go to pcsam.org. Best way to do that is to sign up for my newsletter, as I do not put everything on social media. So yeah, I try to reach out at least once a week with the church bulletin, the news of what the happens are. So what's happening now is that, Matt, we're going to slow down. We're going to breathe as we do every single Tuesday. This has been such a gift in my life and a joy to experience the gift of breath work because it is free and it's with you 24/7, right? And it's something that we can tap into and, gently remind ourselves that we need to slow down and take things one step at a time. So it's been very helpful for me in many, many ways. So how are you today, Matt? How are you feeling after the weekend?
I'm good. It's getting warm.
Yes.
I have a lot of gratitude right now for the invention of, because I wasn't planning on coming up here. So I didn't really pack much clothes. I just had long pants. And I had no idea that my pants turned into shorts. So I have a lot of gratitude for whoever invented that because it's getting pretty warm out.
Those are tricky pants.
So I'm super excited for that right now because it's pretty hot.
It's getting warm. I know. Yeah. It's a little sneak preview of summer today. Yeah. We're super psyched. So lucky to be here.
Yeah, and I think, bringing in the breath too, just bringing in to that word of awareness, bringing in, because it really, part of what we maybe do is teach different breath patterns, but really if you're on the beginning aspects of this journey or what have you, or trying to figure out how to breathe, the first step is really just bring awareness to the fact that you can use an extended exhale to calm your system down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to help bring you into the present moment, because if we think of stress, anxiety, what's all that doing?
Well, for me, I was constricting my breath. I was holding my breath
Yeah.
a lot. I was hyperventilating,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't even realize I was doing it until I started paying attention to it. And I speak about often as women, we tend to hold our stomachs tight and stand up straight. And, we're not breathing because we're trying to present, in a certain fashion. But really, a perfect yogi belly would have a little bit of a pot belly because you would be breathing into your tummy and your diaphragm and then filling up the lungs, more than just hyper breathing up in your chest, which is what I think we tend to do, when we're driving. And
yeah, super beautiful. Like, yeah, so the stress, anxiety, all the stuff can help produce like that type of discomfort in our system. And so what else is it doing besides, like, let's take it out of the physical body for a moment. And what else is it doing?
what stress itself?
Yeah, stress, anxiety, all that stuff.
Well, for me, I was getting a lot of fight or flight reactions in my nervous system, and
Okay.
I would get very shaky on the inside,
Okay.
and like heart palpitations even sometimes sweating, like wet palms,
Yeah.
So it can present for me. Like again, when I was in my fight or flight phase, it was like
Yeah.
if I even just saw a letter from the IRS, I didn't even have to open it. It could have been good news, but I instantly, my body was
Absolutely.
perceiving the outcome before, I even knew what the heck was happening. So with these pauses, you can actually process what's happening before your body takes over. Your nervous system freaks out.
So now what you just said, can you strip that down another layer, and what's that doing to you? Not physically.
Mentally?
But it's, no.
Oh.
Don't think, go.
Spiritually?
No.
Vibrationally?
Yeah, maybe. So it's taking you out of the present moment.
Right. True.
Because you're perceiving, like you said, and so we're allowing, like, the event that's arising of a letter that came, and we're allowing it to take us out of the present moment and go into the future, maybe.
Right.
And be stressed about something that could possibly be very beautiful.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we're like, well, what the hell did I just put myself through that for?
Or something that may never even happen at all.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good point. So breath work helps us stay in the present moment, which is also what meditation does, right? It's paying attention to the present moment on purpose.
Right.
Not to say that you're not allowed to have a thought. It's just that you acknowledge the thoughts and then you let them go.
Exactly.
So it's a lot about letting go, right? And to be in the present moment, you do have to let go of expectations of the future, so I like that thought.
Or also even to become, like what you said, like more of an observer.
Yes.
Like acknowledge the thought, observe the thought, be like, okay, I'm feeling this about this. And then that's where we don't have to do breath work per se, but we can tune into the breath for a moment and just let the system, like as you said, like all of a sudden the nervous system goes up when you see the letter. And then so we can acknowledge it and be like, okay, this is not making me feel good. Let's tap into the breath. So it's almost like taking those steps and having them become a part of who we are. Because sometimes, like when we think of integration, we're thinking of, well, really at that point, the breath is like one or two breaths. Because it's really bringing in that awareness to the present moment and then keeping it more true to that moment.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to kind of like breathe into a little bit lightly today is I was just writing down some stuff that's like true for me right now. And it's like, like discomfort. Right? Because discomfort also like will help take us out of the present moment.
Yeah.
And so I just wrote down like a couple things to think about. So what I'm going to invite for a moment here is I'm just going to read a couple things that I just kind of like felt, and then to invite you just to like breathe in. So just maybe becoming aware of where you're sitting or where you're laying down for a moment. Maybe gently keep your eyes open. Maybe look at something that just makes you happy in your space. Maybe gently closing your eyes and just kind of feeling into the words that I'm going to read. So when we think of discomfort, and just tapping into breathing like whatever's correct for you, just bringing awareness to how you're actually breathing in this particular moment. So when we think of like discomfort, right? So like fast food is going to teach us like we don't ever need to be hungry. because hunger can be that sense of discomfort, and we don't want to get to that point. And then that leads to a whole bunch of stuff. To a point, one aspect of social media is that it may teach us that our opinions shouldn't be questioned. It's going a little bit deeper. Television can teach us that we shouldn't be bored. Now, other things can do that as well too, but you know, alcohol, drugs, and maybe other stuff as well teaches us that we shouldn't be uncomfortable. It's used as a security blanket so we don't have to feel. When we look at, say, nicotine, this teaches us that we should not be stressed. Because what do we reach for a lot when stress arises? And now other things can come into these categories, not just nicotine, but I just was pointing them out as like things that we reach out for that we may use for different reasons. Now, modern living, right? So going back to nature, part of what we preach, part of what we're trying to do, but modern living has produced an environment where we no longer need to be in discomfort. There's just so much out there for us to hide behind.
Mm.
Now, when I say this next one, I'm referring to more corporate America, not like what Sandy does or what a lot of beautiful people out there do. But businesses in that corporate end are developing these products to help us avoid uncomfortable feelings as well. So what if we opened ourselves up a little bit and started to actually bring awareness to the breath when we are in discomfort? Because all these things that I mentioned, are things that maybe we're trying to leave behind.
Mm.
Or maybe, like I don't have television, but I do enjoy like watching a movie or a TV show here and there. And so it's like, how are we using something?
Mm-hmm.
If we're using like a plant medicine, like you said, that lecture that we went to on intention setting. And so we can use things as well. So I'm not saying like don't use these things like TV or like products that are coming out, but it's more like, well, what's our intention
Yes.
behind the use? And so, like with certain plant medicines, it can help us like with meditation or just quieting down the day a little bit when we set that intention. And even some of the conversations we had over the weekend, people are like, yeah, I used to do this so much back in the day, but it was just for fun and social reasons. And now we are on this different journey where maybe there's like a different intention behind the use of something. And nothing wrong with it being fun either, right?
Right.
But what if we really were to learn or to develop, if we're open enough to sit with discomfort a little bit and try to ease that discomfort? Maybe even breathing in a higher essence of ourself or the heart.
I think this is especially important when dealing with other humans.
Yeah.
Even like with ourselves, and setting intention is one thing, but again, you end up in situations where other people's frequency and energy is really kind of sometimes not what you are desiring, right? But by kind of, again, sitting with being uncomfortable and confronting or facing the other person with humility and with, with honesty, essentially, right? And being able to stand in your power and speak your own truth, that takes courage, that takes patience, that takes everything that you said, just like kind of staying in the flow and accepting that not everybody is always going to have the same point of view as you, and they might actually even be challenging you or against you, you know what I mean? And that is very uncomfortable, especially if you're cohabitating with somebody or you're co-parenting with somebody that you maybe not live with. So a lot of us are up against this every day, and especially with the, crises of like the housing crisis and mental health, there's more and more people, I think, living in situations that they're not necessarily attuned to, but they have no choice because they're just stuck and, can't afford to change the situation. So a lot of my humans are in those situations right now. So,
Yeah, so there's, I think there's a lot to that. And for me right now, with discomfort, I'm just looking at the comments.
It's my cousin.
Oh, nice.
Well, my cousin's son, so my second cousin. Hello.
It is super beautiful up here.
I wish I had my glasses on. Hi, Brian. Hi, Lady J. It is beautiful today. I know. Hopefully you can all get outside and enjoy it a little bit.
It's so hot today. So I might go even for a swim.
I know, right? Out of nowhere.
But what's like really alive for me is like, and I was actually just talking about this with one of my mentees that I work with in this class, and we were talking a little bit about now I forgot. So the discomfort, right? So maybe we are reaching something to help us feel comfortable, and so it could be words that we use. It could be, and what we were talking about was specifically words, but things like what I just mentioned. Some of these things might, without good intention, might be lowering our vibration when we're trying to rise up to that higher level of vibrating. And so, and I think what we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, like in regards to, like, how are we using our words? And so if something of discomfort is coming up, my invitation to you, and what we're doing a breath here in a second, is, okay, what's this thought doing? Like a woman who I teach with, actually, another mentor, she was saying, like all these things of what she's doing, of why she can't create what she wants to create. And so when she gave me permission to be open with her, I was like, your words are creating this lower vibration, which is stopping, not allowing, and creating heaviness around what you actually really want. So you're not moving in this direction because you're creating this lower vibrational self-sabotage with words. And so for myself, what I've been tuning into, maybe this is relatable to some people, is when I catch myself either in discomfort or a little bit of stress, and I'm trying to tune into it, and then maybe I have a thought coming up of like, I don't believe I can do this, or any like self-sabotage, I've been finding one word for myself that's with this reoccurring theme, and there's maybe a couple reoccurring themes, and then I use this one word to bring me into away from the lower vibrational self-sabotage or disbelief into the realm of higher vibration and what I see myself truly as. So that I can focus on that higher vibration and focus on maybe what's coming, what am I being an antenna for or a magnet to.
So what's the word?
Well, it depends on the situation.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so I'm not talking really about one.
I see.
So
something to kind of reel you back in.
Yeah, something to reel me back into this. So what we'll do a little bit with breathing today is I'm just going to invite in just a basic breath. We just have some new breathers here, so the invitation is to just breathe in through your nose and exhale. Yeah.
I'm going to go lay down. I miss you all. Sarah, I can't wait to
Sarah.
see you guys. We're getting to camp already. I'm planting a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we're getting everything cleaned up here. I've been like moving wood for the last day. It's all fun. We got so much, yeah. It's looking good though. If you saw behind us, it looks a little disorganized, but so just maybe exhaling out through the mouth today, and maybe extending that exhale and helping you to relax. Is there anything you guys want to share on what I said? Does it sit with you? Does it make sense? Okay. If anyone wants to comment on what I was also talking about out there in computer world, please feel free to drop it in a chat and I can address it. And as usual, you can always reach out to me as well too. So just finding a comfortable position. Maybe tuning into how your body is sitting or laying down. Maybe breathing and feeling into the contact points of the chair, the couch, pillow. Maybe even how the clothes are contacting the body, the skin, and just bringing the awareness of the breath into the contact points to maybe help us discover, to drop in, or maybe to feel a little bit more into the body. And maybe just as well, tuning into a healthy breath, breathing into the stomach through the nose, either maintaining nose breathing or exhaling through the mouth. And so with the breath, so much in the beginning, we're thinking about the breath. So if you're tuning into the breath, the invitation here is to invite you to see if you can feel into how you're breathing and become more aware of it through feeling other than thought. And I'm just going to bring up something with the breath that really came to me last week. I was just offered a really beautiful gift last week to really work with some really beautiful souls that are really lost, and they're not seeking like help. They're in a place where it's kind of like they have to be there. And so for the first time in a long time, I really saw a group of people that cannot even tune into one breath. It's just not safe for them. It's just they don't have that ability to connect in that way. And so just to try to discover where you're at and permission yourself to be exactly where you are. Because maybe where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be, and that's okay. And as you're tuning into the breath and into the body here a little bit, just to bring in the mind. So the invitation here is to come up with a couple ideas for yourself. And after something comes into the mind, what I'm going to invite you to do is to acknowledge the thought that's coming up. So thought number one, and then to breathe that into the body and just check in with how that makes you feel. And so the invitation here is to discover for yourself 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, however many things in your life that may create some discomfort for you. And then what maybe is the situation or the event. Like, it could be another person, it could be a living situation, it could be just even driving a car, going to the grocery store, maybe anxiety being around people, whatever that is. And then through that experiences that we have that we know that bring us discomfort, to maybe even just recognize, like, what do we reach out for to help create comfort? Like maybe a cigarette, maybe loud music, maybe whatever that may be. But just to bring awareness to that for a moment. So I'm just going to relax. I'm going to have to hold up the gong today. I'm going to play a little bit with the gong. And I have to hold it so it won't be too long because it's heavy. But as I'm playing the gong, I'm just going to invite you to tune into the breath. And just to breathe and discover for yourself, or become more heightened or aware of discomfort and what that may be for you. As long as I last on that, my back's a little sore from moving all this wood. And so now, just to take a nice deep breath in through the nose, maybe your biggest inhale of the day, and to invite in a breath hold at the top. And you're just going to hold the breath for as long as you're comfortable, and then just let it out, and then just let everything go and drop into how you're feeling now. And that was a nice gentle reminder that when I put brass in the sun, it gets really hot. And so, just like, so now if you have recognized some things of discomfort for ourselves, the invitation is to, like, have a little bit of discernment. So maybe we know what within this discomfort, what I may reach out for to help me feel comfortable. And what I may reach out for may be a couple different things depending on the, what situation I'm in. Maybe I'm just going to reach out for food. Maybe sometimes I might reach out for something else. So what I'm going to invite you to do here for a moment is to tap back into the breath. And as you're tapping back into the breath, choose one aspect of the discomfort for you that is are maybe real for you now. And just bring whatever it is into your thought and feel into that for a moment. Because the way we handle discomfort also may be taking us out of the present moment. It may be holding us back from actually obtaining things in our life that are of a higher vibration. And so, what I invite you to do maybe for a moment is to imagine yourself how this discomfort may arise within your day, or like if something happened this week with it, or in the last day or so. And I invite you to kind of just bring that picture of events that bring that in, and to imagine yourself there. And then as you're breathing into that and experiencing the event, feeling the discomfort and really wanting to grab something, what if you could tune into your breath right now, feel the discomfort for a moment. And so what I'm going to invite you to do is to extend your exhale, and whatever you're feeling in the body on the exhale, to invite in the exhale to maybe allow a softening of the energy of that discomfort. So we can breathe into the space of discomfort on the inhale and exhaling it and allowing it to soften. One of the things that many people say is that if we allow ourselves to breathe in to the sensations that maybe don't serve us, and if we can bring in 90 seconds of breathing into that space and maybe softening on the exhale, then we shift into something new and maybe more beautiful. Maybe without having to reach out for something that maybe we're trying to stop, cut down on, or just not use this as a tool. And maybe discovering the power of the breath. And if we tune into something and with softening, an intention of softening, how that feels. And that may equal out to a quieting, a settling down of the nervous system. And then we move on with our life, onto something new. Maybe all of a sudden, maybe a couple minutes later, we're like, oh wow, I didn't have to grab that cigarette. Or I didn't have to get angry for a moment. Or I didn't have to go eat. I didn't have to go, because these other things are what we're using as a security blanket to soften us having to feel. And so that 90 seconds in the beginning, it may be hard to breathe into that discomfort because we're not used to really feeling the discomfort, and we may not feel safe with it. And we're not used to actually just feeling uncomfortable. And when we choose a pathway of discovery for ourselves to maybe heal ourselves, and people come along in the journey who can maybe help be suggestive or to help guide or to be someone that can hear you and respond in a lovingly, caring, compassionate way. I forgot where I was going with that. But when that happens, like as we go through this process, a word that you hear me say often is like permissioning. So we can permission ourselves to go through this learning experience, sometimes checking in the winning box that, yeah, this worked, and sometimes it's not going to work. And if something doesn't work when we're trying to learn something, permission ourselves to experience that it didn't work this time, and that's okay. We don't have to use words of self-sabotage or to be mean to ourselves as a part of the process of learning. Because we really don't learn without making the mistakes, or we don't learn by doing it exactly perfect the first time. It's just not real. But when we bring in that permission ourselves to experience this growth, to experience something new, because maybe what I'm saying is not fully in alignment with you, and maybe you're taking what I'm saying and then adding, maybe you discover something that you're going to add to it that makes it a little bit more personable to you as an individual, or maybe more relatable to you. Because when you come across maybe someone who's a teacher or who has begun to embody this type of work, and we maybe invite in ideas of thinking or strategies, part of the beauty is for the individual is to really like what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and creating what does actually work for you, and trying to be creative in that sense. An example of that would be I was a phys ed teacher for K3 for many years. And so when I would go to the phys ed conference in New York, I was obviously presented ideas and games and stuff that I just looked at, and I was like, that's just a horrible game. I would never play that. But what I would always do is save it or write down the game, because back in those days there was more handwriting. There weren't really computers around then, or maybe more towards the end. But the funny part is later in time, I would go back and see that game, reread it, and then I would add tweaks to it so that it would suit my personality of teaching or my group of children. And so I would take that same idea and reconfigure it into something that works for me. And so that's kind of like what I'm talking about here with suggestive ideas to help us all fall into that place. And then just kind of whatever journey you may be on, just an invitation to gently bring yourself back. Maybe bringing a light smile to the face and breathing into that energy for showing up and being here for yourself today, to maybe smile into the energy of just that willingness to hear something to make us ponder thought and change for ourselves, and to honor yourself for that process. How was that for you over there?
It's good. You know what makes me uncomfortable?
What's that?
Bugs. Well, biting ones.
Yes.
The biting ones, because, you know, I do have this, like, I have a fear of, like, mostly the disease that insects carry, because I was attacked in 2017. I went on a hike up here in Maine, and I don't know what got me. I didn't feel it happening.
Yeah.
But I emerged from the woods with, like, no less than 24, maybe 30 or so bug bites on each of my thighs. Like, they just attacked my thighs, and it was August, and they didn't heal until November. And it triggered my immune system to actually set me off into having Epstein-Barr, which is kind of like long-term mono.
Okay.
So it does some really atrocious things to the body. And it was like, you know, and I've been to Haiti, you know, where you had to worry about malaria. And it was just really funny because you were talking about breathing into the discomfort right as I got bit by a mosquito just now. So I had to really breathe through it. And I scratched at first, but then I just kept breathing into it. And then I felt almost as if I was raising my vibration and telling them to leave me alone. And then I didn't get bit again. So I don't know if it worked, but I only got bit once. So yeah, so that's a discomfort for me. And I know it is for a lot of people who are, you know, generally living in the city, these creepy crawly things, you know, I always try to like rescue them and take them outside, like spiders and stuff if I find them in the house. But like, so I'm not really afraid of them themselves. It's more of the diseases that they carry. So that was something that came up for me with discomfort just because it happened in real time.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's fair,
I
right?
think that's true for a lot of us too.
Yeah, and like, you know, you said like to reach for something, you know, it's like you want to reach for something like a bug spray, but that's a chemical that isn't good for our bodies or Mother Nature, right? Yeah. So like imagine if there was just a way to raise your vibration and tell them to bug off. I mean, there probably is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I might have just...
You can do that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, just because of my living situation, like, you know, I have to deal with like little animals at night sometimes.
Right.
And so I always put out this vibration of like, you're welcome here. But just don't, you do what you need to do and let me be doing what I'm doing. And so I never really get bothered, or in certain ways that can be a little bothersome sometimes with that.
But the mosquitoes doing what they have to do is feed off you. So.
True that. Well, but we can put that energy out there though.
Yeah,
we can absolutely
to say, please feed off of another entity.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll try to practice that this summer to see if I get less bites when I hike.
There you go.
Oh, so this has been nice. I feel like I'm frying today. Wow, I can't believe it.
It's so hot right now sitting here.
It just kind of came out of nowhere. So, yeah, so everybody, so just another reminder, you are going to be there this Wednesday. Yeah,
this will be, we're just gently going to, this Wednesday we'll do the sound healing, and this will be the last one for the summer. And then we're just going to, as with a lot of the programming that's offered, and maybe some new stuff coming up next year, just it's a time to take some time to reevaluate, rediscover, and remake something maybe a little bit better for the community out there. So when I come back in the fall, hopefully it'll be some new offerings that might be in some of the same, like the sound healing will still be there. But one of the things that we were gently talking about last night, you know, just maybe also making it earlier in the evening, and maybe even allowing for, you know, children to be there, and to make it even a family event as well too. So, you know, there's just, sometimes it's just good to sit back and look at what you're doing and what's been created, and how do we make it better?
And evaluate. Yeah, so in other words, so this Wednesday we will have our 1 p.m. midweek reset with Anna at 63 Washington Street. I hopefully will not get stuck in traffic tomorrow, and we'll make it back for that. And then Matt will be holding space. You can arrive tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. He starts around 7:30. He'll be there for 1 hour. It's going to be your last chance on a Wednesday for the season to tap in and just get a nice dose of sound healing and breath work. And then, you know, Friday night again, we're going to pause. And, you know, I think what I'm going to do is send out a survey, and I'm going to see, you know, I really do want to bring more children into the fold, because again, these like very simple techniques of stillness and mindfulness and meditation and breath work these things weren't really taught to most of us as children. And I think in this society that we live in currently, there's just a tendency towards, like you said, reaching for a pill or, giving children pharmaceuticals even that like really may not serve them in the long run. It might be a temporary solution or a quick fix. But I think instead, if more parents, and teachers and educators of all kinds really thought, wow, what if we actually taught them to be still, how to breathe, how to climb a tree, how to be outside and incorporate more play and maybe a lot less screen time. That's another thing that we reach for and that we placate and pacify our children and ourselves with, quite frankly. So, we have to be the models. I'm going to be a lot less available this summer. Everybody, I feel like I've been on call for 26 years because I have. And I'm going to really try to permission, as you say, myself, to let go of that ball and chain. And so if you don't hear from me right away, I'm going to be fine. I'm probably just on the paddle board or playing with my kids, but I'm going to be a lot less available in July and August. I'm going to be tuning in to my family, to nature, and to myself, and kind of figuring out what our next moves are. And we will be sending out a survey. I'm going to send out a survey to see what it is that you all need and want to see as we grow, hopefully into a newer, bigger space and one with outside space. And, maybe we do more outward bound adventure type stuff on Friday nights. Maybe we go dancing more. Maybe you want to see more movie nights, so we're going to kind of look at what we did do and then focus on what we want, as we usually do. So that's going to be hitting your inbox, so look for that. And
And I think too, like even just saying that, like for the Friday night thing in particular, like if there's any newer people out there or people haven't really, or just maybe seeing this on the internet but really are coming down for events, like even if you have an offering,
yes,
and I think too, what's really beautiful too, like if you have an offering that you think might be of service, and I'm just kind of going back to an earlier conversation I had with someone in the circle, and they were just like, this is really uncomfortable for me to do. And just to name that, maybe presenting an offering to a community or to this community that you might be involved with, like you're not, just to remember that you're not alone and to talk to us and let us know, because you can always have support as well too. I just wanted to name that.
That's how we grow. When we acknowledge that maybe we're not the most talented in the room, or we're, especially with me when we do the art nights, I get extremely insecure, but insecurities breed, possibility and potential in a way, and especially because we are the judge-free zone, come as you are. And we would love to see more people just kind of throw out some ideas about what it is that makes them tick and helps them connect to the divine and their, higher purpose. So, because again, that's how we grow. And yes, I was, extremely uncomfortable at one point in my life public speaking, but I feel like with these practices, I felt a lot more comfortable this weekend. And, so if I compare my, I should only really comparing myself to me, you know what I mean? Not to anybody else, because that's how you really measure your growth. So I'm pretty proud of myself. I kept it together this weekend. With little sleep, speaking in public. And, so again, I'm living proof that you can get over your fears, and God knows I have many more to get over. So don't we all? But yeah, so thanks again. I think that's all the news. Again, you can go to pcsam.org, sign up for the newsletter, follow us on YouTube. This is where we're going to keep all of these videos up for the summer, so you can still, of course, go back and watch after we are done recording. So thanks again. Everybody enjoy this beautiful day in New England. I'm so grateful for it.
Bye. We'll see you guys soon.